Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I hope those of you in the Northern Hemisphere are having a wonderful fall season, and those of you in the South, a lovely spring. I just want to say before I get started here that, I want to keep this channel as a way of escape from a lot of the things that are going on in this world, but I don't want to forget that those things are happening, and if you are being affected by any of the tragic things that are showing up in the news, or if you're going through some personal tragedy, just know that, I've got that on my heart, and if you need someone to pray for you, don't hesitate to let me know. In this video, I'm going to be going over some books that I have purchased recently. Some of them you've seen already in various short videos that I've filmed, but I wanted to give a little bit more context on them, why I bought them, and if I've read them or am reading them, what do I think? So I'm going to start here with some Tolkien. So let me move this over just a minute. So the first book here is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Tolkien. So this is his translation of an old text. And I'll just read the little blurb here. It's Christmas at Camelot, and King Arthur won't begin to feast until he has witnessed a marvel of chivalry. A mysterious knight, green from head to toe, rides in and brings the court's wait to an end with an implausible challenge to the Round Table. He will allow any of the knights to strike him once, with a battle axe no less, on the condition that he is allowed to return the blow a year hence. Arthur's brave favorite for the challenge is Sir Gawain. So I've actually read the other two poems that are in this collection, which are Pearl and Sir Orfeo. Sir Orfeo is a medieval retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice. And so I actually was expecting a bit more from that one than I perhaps should have. It's, well, first of all, look at these beautiful title plates here. I don't know. When it comes to Sir Orfeo, this retelling of Orpheus in the underworld, I wasn't getting a lot of the what am I trying to say here? It needed a little bit more romance, I think, a little bit more of Eurydice in there. It didn't really feel like that draw that he has to his wife wasn't really, it didn't feel that strong to me in this retelling. So that was one of the stories here. The other one is this poem called Pearl, which was quite a remarkable religiously themed poem that, I don't know, I did find it quite touching. It was a little bit strange too, about this man who is has a dream where he visits his beloved in this other world, which is presumably the afterlife and heaven or paradise. And it's supposed to be, like, I think the common interpretation is that it's a man who is mourning his daughter. So there's a little bit of, if you read really carefully, there's some context in there that gives her age. But in the afterlife, she's all grown up. So it's a very touching story. I wouldn't say it's like a huge favorite of mine, but I thought it was worth reading. It was a nice respite from other types of reading, and I do recommend it if you're just wanting to read some medieval poetry. So I do have this bookmark here that I got from the local bookstore, which seemed appropriate. I have not read the main feature yet, so that'll be soon. It seems like a good Christmas story, potentially. So I will let you know my thoughts on that when I have read it. The other Tolkien book that I picked up at the same time, and this was the one I actually went to Barnes & Noble to find, but I did not walk away with just one. So this is Tolkien's translation of Beowulf. It is a prose translation. So this is a first for me. I had read a poetic translation years ago and really didn't get a lot out of it. I'm getting a lot more out of this because My understanding is that because it's prose, Tolkien is able to stay a bit truer to the meaning of the original, even though he hasn't attempted, obviously, to come anywhere close to a poetic telling. But the thing is, I think knowing the meaning for me and pairing it with Tolkien's very poetic prose is a really good combination, and I'm getting so much more out of this reading than the previous one. And there is an airplane flying overhead. So, yes, I recommend this so far. I'm only about halfway through it. I may be finishing it this week. We shall see. So I'm trying to go about this in a semi-chronological order based on when the text was published or when it takes place. So now we jump to the 1870s, 80s with Washington Square by Henry James. I have not read this yet, but when I saw it, I was extremely excited because the film adaptation of this novel called The Heiress is one of my sister's favorite movies, and at her persuasion, I watched it in the last year or two, and I absolutely loved it. It's a really good story. It actually has some similarities to Eugene Onegin, so, any Pushkin fans out there, check this out. At least the movie really resonated with me and reminded me of Eugene Onegin. So this book, this is about a very plain and simple living young lady in New York who has a pretty controlling father. She meets a guy who just seems to fall head over heels with her. Her father thinks that this young man is probably a gold digger, but the young lady, Catherine, she doesn't believe that. So, and then it remains to be seen whether he's a gold digger or not, and, how their relationship progresses. But, I know how it ends, but I'm really keen to read this. Marianne Guevara just did a comparison between movie and film of this. I haven't watched her video yet, but I will link to it in the description because I plan to watch it after I read this. I'm just curious to read it for myself and experience the original story. I've never read any Henry James either, so this will be a first. And I've heard that this novel is particularly easier to read than some of his other more heavier prose works, so I am looking forward to this. If I wasn't reading anything else, I would literally drop everything and read that right now, but I'm trying to finish some other things first. One of the things I'm trying to finish is The Sign of Four by Arthur Conan Doyle. So I've started collecting these Baker Street Classics hardcovers. I had a bit of an issue with the sticker on this one, so I peeled it off. It looked terrible. I put another sticker on it. Live and learn, I guess. It is what it is. But I really like these hardcovers. This is more or less what I was looking for in terms of a Sherlock Holmes edition with each thing in its own volume. I would say that, if you're really keen on the Victorian aesthetic, this series obviously doesn't meet that. This is more of a vintage, 1940s kind of style? Oh, 1920s. Okay. So this has more of a 20th century vibe to it in terms of the cover design and the illustrations and all, but I still really like it, and I think for now this is my best option. And the interior typeface and format is really nice. So I am going to be posting a review of this hopefully in the next day or two. It's been really fun reading Sherlock Holmes after so many years. I feel like the quirks and the strangeness of it and just the dynamic of the characters stands out so much more now that I'm older and reading it with sort of fresh eyes. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying how off the wall this really is, and I'll have more to say about that later, but I am really liking these editions and this reread. So that's the sign of 4. Excuse me, my stomach's making noises. I wanted to film this before lunch, but I don't know if that was a good idea. All right, so here is, I think this is the only work of nonfiction in this stack. This is called Massacred for Gold, The Chinese in Hell's Canyon by R. Gregory Noakes. So what is this? I've been trying to read more local history of late. Whoa. And by local, I mean the Pacific Northwest region. So, British Columbia, Canada, Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, maybe Northern California. So this whole region is very, it's not very rich in terms of architecture or, old buildings, but in terms of history, there's still quite a bit you can dig into. So this book talks about a horrific crime that occurred in the 1880s. This was in Oregon, Eastern Oregon. And it also covers the crime itself, obviously, but it also goes over the Chinese experience in the West and in the U.S. in general during this time period, which is really quite fascinating. You'll know if you've read East of Eden, or if you're reading it right now like I am, there's the character of Lee, who is actually born in the United States, but he describes his struggle as someone who doesn't fit in the States or back home in China, which is really one of my favorite things about East of Eden, I'd say, just because it's such an interesting perspective to bring to a novel. My printer is now making noise. We're just keeping it real here. Yes, you need to do your cleaning or whatever. Okay. Thank you very much. So, yeah. What I really am also enjoying about this as a history nerd is he's describing his overall process in terms of researching this novel, in terms of, examining different sources and comparing them. So if you're like me and you just love history, you loved academic history writing or any of that sort of thing, or you're just curious to know how do historical writers go about their work, this is great for that as well. So that's one of the reasons I bought this book. I think it's a great reference work. I think it is interesting on these different levels. And as far as things I've learned in this book so far, because I am reading it, it's really changed the way I think about the West. So I'm just going to leave that there, and feel free to pick it up, or maybe I'll do a review of it later. Okay. So I'm going to move a little more quickly through the rest of these. This is Natsume Sosuke's Kokoro, a new translation. I saw this at the bookstore and was encouraged by a friend to get it because apparently the old translation is pretty dated. And I'm not gonna lie, I just love this cover. This is a very cool cover, a little bit different than what you'd usually see from a Penguin classic. And I like the blurb about it. It's about I guess it's about this like student mentor relationship and just various moral dilemmas or struggles that the student is going through. I don't really know that much more about it, but I really enjoyed The Gate by Sosuke. So this sounds pretty promising. All right, the next book I'm going to show here, this one is actually, I believe this was secondhand, but it's practically new. I don't even know that anyone's read it. This is The Beautiful and the Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have not read this one yet, but it's been on my list for quite some time now. And I just want to shout out Barnes & Noble for putting out these beautiful signature classics editions. If you're looking for something that kind of spans the paperback hardcover gap, these are really nice. They always have lovely illustrations or cover art, and they have the French flaps and a pretty sturdy cardstock cover. Interior design is fantastic, a really nice, comfortable font size, and off-white paper. So it sounds like an ad. I'm no ways affiliated with Barnes & Noble, but I'm just putting it out there because I always used to get their Barnes & Noble Classics, the old editions way back in the day. I still think those are good, but this is like a step up, and it's still fairly affordable. This is $13 for this at regular price, but again, I did find it secondhand, so be looking out for these. Yeah, big fan. So next few books here are by Graham Greene. Graham Greene has been on my radar for quite some time, and I finally read The Power and the Glory this summer, going into fall, and it was one of the best books I've read this year. It was absolutely fantastic. I have written a kind of essay about it on my blog, but I do plan to do a video on it because it really deserves one. I don't think I can cover it in complete detail, but I do plan to do a video on this. Highly, highly recommended. So I also picked up another 2 books of his. This is Our Man in Havana. This one I found secondhand. It's an Alec Guinness film. I don't think I've seen it, but I am a fan of Alec Guinness as well, so another reason to read it. And then The Quiet American, which I'm extremely excited to read. This is a Penguin Deluxe Edition. So similar format here to the Signature Classics, and I am just a huge fan of these as well. They always have the deckled edged paper and just a very nice edition. But essentially this takes place at the end of French colonial rule in Vietnam. So I have sort of a personal interest in reading it for that history there, and kind of getting at least one angle on the zeitgeist of that time period in Vietnam. So really looking forward to this, and his writing style is really engaging. So if you've never tried him, like, I wouldn't put him off, and I can't recommend The Power and the Glory strongly enough, so there you go. Another book that I am greatly anticipating here is Eyeless in Gaza by Aldous Huxley. I didn't mean to bring this up at this time, given current events and everything. I haven't read this. I'm not really sure fully what it's about, but it is about war. It is about Huxley's pacifist beliefs, and I'm not sure if it takes place in Gaza, but there must be some connection there to the Middle East. So, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm looking forward to reading this. I have read a lot about Huxley's pacifist views over the spring, summer, with Ends and Means and his Encyclopedia of Pacifism. So I'm really curious about this book on multiple levels. Another book that is related to war, this is Paradise of the Blind by Yung Tu Huang. I've been looking for a book to read for Vietnam, for the Reading the World Challenge that I'm doing with a friend. And this one, it's difficult sometimes finding books from countries that aren't about war and aren't about, some of the political situations happening in the 20th century and today. But I want to read this book in any case because this was published in 1991. Actually, no, it was originally published in 1988, and I think there may be some similarities between her story and my family story, so I'd like to learn more about that through her eyes, and I believe this is a kind of a family saga, so it should be pretty interesting in more ways than one. So it's Paradise of the Blind. And then this book, This was very much an impulse purchase. This is The Samurai by Shusaku Endo. A lot of you know by now that I am really interested in Shusaku Endo's work. I intend to read all his works at some point. So this, like so many of his books, is focused on the period of Japanese history when Christianity was trying to take root in Japan. So this is 1613. I believe this would have been, I'm guessing this would have been before the persecution started. So there was a period of Japanese history where they welcomed Christianity, and then there was a period when they really, cracked down on it and didn't want any more to do with it. I went over that in detail in my review series on silence, which I will link to below if you're interested in watching. I don't know, I just really enjoy Endo's writing. I enjoy how he keeps writing different works on the same theme, even though it is repetitious or repetitive. It's just interesting to watch an author approach the same theme in multiple ways. We saw that with Harper Lee and To Kill a Mockingbird and Go Set a Watchman. You know, 2 books about the same thing, taking quite different angles, even using the same characters. But, one book is very tragic. They're both tragic, but one book is particularly tragic in the way that you get to understand the actions of the protagonist. And then the other story takes on a more heroic bent, which is more optimistic and hopeful. And you kind of see that with Endo's approach to this topic too. Some books of his, like The Golden Country and Sachiko, which actually takes place in the 20th century, I'd say those books have a lot more hope in them, a lot more optimism, and just the beauty of, people's perseverance in difficult times. And then other books of his, like Silence, and, Silence in particular, just more of a feeling of sadness and despair. So I love that he did that. I love that you can just experience these stories in different ways, because there's really never, only going to be one side to something, right? So, and this book, so I wasn't looking for it. I saw it at the bookstore. This is Barnes & Noble again. Like, I wasn't at some kind of niche bookstore. I'm like, wait, there's like a wrapped copy of this New Directions edition of The Samurai. It was like waiting for me, basically. So I was like, okay, I'm going to splurge and get it, because I'm never going to see this again, probably, at the bookstore. And I think it's wonderful that they're selling these a little bit more obscure works. So I'm just going to, I'm going to get it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but I can't start it just yet. So it'll be a little while. But yeah, I have high hopes for it nonetheless. So that is a very lengthy book haul, but just wanted to kind of share some of the books I've picked up recently, some of the books I'm reading, and there will be some reviews soon. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.